views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, we tried, John, but whatever happened here tonight, we lost our internet for about 10 minutes. I'll tell you, I was sweating bullets, so hopefully it doesn't drop out again. I guess Comcast, is our internet provider for our show. They had a brief outage. So, well, anyway, our guest tonight is going to be Timothy Renner. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot on the East Coast, West Coast, and maybe even in between with his great books right after this.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Yeah, and check out the web at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And Timothy, how are you doing? I think it sounded like you were painting with a brush earlier. Are you painting?
Not currently. I was working on paintings. I'm an artist as well.
Well, I noticed that. And what else do you do besides write books and being an artist?
I'm a musician, podcaster, and that about takes care of it. Artist, musician, podcaster, illustrator.
Oh, then you being a podcaster, I don't know if you ever have any internet outages, but it seems always at the wrong time. I can go weeks and weeks, and all of a sudden I'll go a couple days where we have outages right and left.
Yeah, and it seems the cable modem takes a lot longer to restart than DSL did. I know that because we lost it in the middle of the show before, sure.
Yeah, that's one thing nice about a podcast. All you do is push the button stop. If you have to edit it out, you can do it. When you do a live one, you're stuck with whatever happens.
Right, yeah.
Well, why don't you tell the listeners, and there's actually even quite a bit building up on, I'm doing a little bit of Facebook Live, too, as we talk for the first half an hour. Tell the people about yourself.
Oh, let's see. I was born in 1970, which right in the middle of what I like to call the sort of golden age of Bigfoot. And I had an interest in that from when I was young. And as I grew up, I kind of lost interest in that when I got into punk rock and girls and so forth as a teenager. But came back around as an adult and found some local sightings when I was writing my first book, and that really got me excited about Bigfoot. And other paranormal phenomena too. I kind of look at the paranormal in a sort of holistic sense, I think. But I love Bigfoot. That's been my probably, I guess that's my first paranormal love from when I was a little kid. So I started writing books about it and doing the podcasts and so forth, and here we are.
Oh yeah. Well, have you known anybody who's ran into a Bigfoot, or have you seen one, or any evidence of running into one?
I've had some weird stuff. There's some areas that we suspect may or may not be Bigfoot. That's the sort of areas that we go to. It seems like it's Bigfoot activity, but I have not seen one yet. We're getting weird noises, weird unidentified vocalizations at night, and knocks and so forth like that. But we've not seen a definite creature there. We've seen movement, like a flash of movement, but there's no way we could define what it was. It's just a big, something moves very quickly across the trail. It was very big. This was in the dead of night. So, we didn't get a good look at it, but we did get eye shine another time, and there are weird lights there as well. So we have a place where we're experiencing activity, but we're not 100% ready to say it's definitely Bigfoot yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story, Timothy. Back in the early 2000s, 2002, a friend of mine who just got done, medical doctor, he just got done serving his internship. He just, was in the process of opening up his office, medical care place. And we decided, because at that time I took a little break from broadcasting, and I ended up managing a couple of professional camera stores, because my second love, other than talking, has always been taking pictures. And I got to know this guy real well, and we decided to go on some road trips. And we'd done everything from the lighthouses up on Oregon, California coast, Washington coast. Well, then we decided we wanted to go do something more. We wanted to go up to the Canadian Rockies and get some old ghost town pictures and visit this old internment camp, whatever would be left of it from World War II, where they used to intern the Japanese prisoners during the war. So we go up there like the first part of June, up the Canadian Rockies, and there was still a lot of snow on the side of the roads, and we found the place where we figured it was at. We had to, drive in off the main road, which we maybe saw a car about every half an hour. So you can tell there wasn't much traffic around there. And then the side road we went on was an old logging road, and we went in there maybe about a mile or so. And then we got out and started hiking, and we found the old internment camp. Now, it was like one or two little parts of buildings left, some chain link fences and weird stuff. But in the internment camp, they also had a silver mine on the base of the mountain there. And it was a stream going in between where the internment camp was, where the mine was. And my friend goes, "Hey, Gary, look at that huge bear over there." And so I turn around with my big telephoto lens, which has a lot of glass on it. And I turn around and I look and I go, oh, the first thing in my mind was terror. I realized that was not a bear. And whatever it was, it weighed maybe around the 800 pound range, maybe, it's hard to say, 8 to 10 feet tall. But it noticed us at that point, and it made the loudest scream I've ever heard.
Wow.
Even more than when I buy equipment for my studio and my wife comes in and starts screaming. That's how loud it was. And we took off running. And I turned around a few times, and I noticed the thing was running behind us. And it was scary, because it was running on two legs, and then it would drop down to like all fours for a second, and then back to two legs. And we managed to get back to the car, otherwise I wouldn't be talking to you. And I don't know if it was, and I'm kind of making it a real short story here. Its mate or itself was by our car, maybe about 25 feet away from the car, just on the tree line right there. And it was bending a tree over, like maybe a 5-inch tree, like it was nothing. And it was screaming at its top of its lungs. And all I can remember is the pungent smell of urine, muss, and something else that actually took your breath away, where you couldn't hardly even breathe. It would hurt. And I remember getting in the car, starting it, shoving it in gear. My friend was just getting to the car, trying to get his leg, and I'm dragging him off, until I stop. Now, the bad part about this whole situation, whatever it was, threw a big rock, hit my car, which actually was not my car. It was my wife's brand new car. She let us take it for the road trip to make sure we didn't break down. And it put a huge dent on the passenger front fender. And, when I got home, I told my wife the whole story, and she goes, "What were you smoking? What were you drinking? What did you do to my car?" I said, "Number one, I don't smoke anything, and I didn't do any drinking, and I didn't hit anything. A Bigfoot did it." And my wife, okay, for all these years, she goes, But I'll tell you one thing, if you actually run across one, it is terrifying. It was not like this one little bubbly creature. A lot of people say that they give off friendly orbs, and they this thing literally was chasing us, and I'm telling you, it wanted us out of the area.
Yeah, I there's a witness I talk about in my most recent book locally who he was beat down by one of these creatures. They're not always the friendly forest giants that a lot of people say they are.
Oh, no. And I don't know if you know who Ed Romans is out of Canada. He's like one of their top folk singers.
Not familiar.
Yeah, he was on my show back many months ago because he heard me talking about my encounter of a Bigfoot. And he had one, too, very, very similar, where he was out with his dog going into the tree line, going into the forest, which was a few miles from his house. And all of a sudden, he seen the thing about 1,000 feet ahead of him. And he said, again, it was around like 10 feet tall, described everything I saw. And the thing started running after him. So him and his dog naturally, went back, on the trail back towards his car as fast as he could. And he said he turned around several times as the thing was starting to catch up to him. And he noticed the same thing. It ran on 2 legs, dropped down to 4 legs, went back to 2 legs. And then when he got near his car, he turned around and whatever it is, it wasn't there anymore.
Mm. Yeah, the bipedal to quadrupedal locomotion, that's reported quite often. And there's several things from your encounter that kind of check boxes for me. The fact that it occurred in sort of an abandoned area. There's a lot of sightings around sort of abandoned ghost towns and abandoned construction one way or another. And the silver mine, actually. I started recently on every Bigfoot investigation I go on. I ask a few out of the ordinary questions, and you'd be amazed. But one of them I ask is the idea of buried treasure. And by that, I mean anything of value in the ground in the area where people are seeing them. And you'd be amazed how often there are at least legends of either buried treasure. Sometimes it's not like a box of coins or something. Sometimes it's a lost silver mine or something like that. But it's incredible the amount of times that these coincide with areas where people see Bigfoot as well.
Well, I'd tell you this. Honestly, I have not been camping with my family. I have not even gone into any forest or anything since then. I can honestly say that, I served in the military and nothing scared me as much as that encountered. Now, again, I have people that come on my show in the area and say, well, Bigfoot are friendly. They're not shy. But, I got a funny feeling, if you're in a kind of an area where there's a lot of humans and stuff like that, they might be more familiar with humans. You get it someplace out in like the Canadian Rockies or someplace far out where there's not much in human, being around. I think they take everything different because they don't know who and what you are.
That may be the case, yeah.
But that was my encounter, and I'll tell you, I don't ever want to run across one again. But it does kind of leave me open when I get people coming on and, saying that, they're experts in Bigfoot and all this stuff, and then they start telling me stuff, and I go, wow, in my mind, that doesn't jive with my experience anyway.
Right, yeah. I would say, honestly, I hear I don't know about far more. I hear at least as many negative encounters where people had something more like what happened to you or something that left them terrified than I do, at least an equal amount as, and the other ones don't tend to be good. They tend to be neutral. Somebody sees one crossing the street or they saw one, while they were hunting or something and nothing happened. But I do hear a lot of negative things. And even people who just see them sometimes are affected for the rest of their life. I know hunters who who saw them and it just didn't compute. What they saw, they weren't attacked or anything else. They weren't chased, but whatever it is, it just messed them up. They'd have nightmares for years after just seeing them.
Well, I know I sure did, because before that, I have 8 kids with my wife, and we used to go camping, during the summer almost every weekend. I tell you, that cured me from ever wanting to go back into the woods. The odds of ever running into another Bigfoot is probably 0. But,